Thanks, Larry. As Larry said, my name is Bob Reiter. I'm Secretary-Treasurer of the Chicago Federation of Labor. The CFL represents over 300 local unions and over 500,000 working men and women right here in the hometown of the American labor movement, Chicago, Illinois. It's great to be here with so many friends and to be able to introduce a great friend of mine. Be here for Bob Gibson, Regina Polk, and the father of a good friend of mine and Jorge's, the guy I work with every day, President Jorge Ramirez. Ed Smith. Ed has been so good, and this is, and I'm an operating engineer, right? We talk about this a lot, Ed. An operating engineer and a laborer walking hand in hand, nobody can beat us, right? Yeah, anything's possible. Like I said, the CFL represents all the working men and women here in Chicago. And, if you look in your program, there's one ad I was flipping through. This week, one of our executive board members, I want to tell you a little bit about him. He was, over 3.5 years ago, he was the vice president of his local union. A local union that, was facing a lot of challenges. And he was able to come into office as business manager, and I don't know that I've seen somebody as fearless, as strong as Terry Allen, the business manager of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 134. IBW Local 134 has a long history in the city. It was first created in 1890 when a group of workers formed a union called the Electrical Mechanics Union. And in 1900, they were able to get their first international charter. And with the union with so much history and so much strength, Terry epitomized the strength of that local. See, what some of you may or may not know is, as strong of a leader as Terry was in his personal life, almost the entire time he was, if not the entire time he was business manager, he was battling cancer. And for someone who represented his members both in politics, collective bargaining, and organizing, you wouldn't know that this guy was sick by the shake of his hand, because he grabbed your hand, he'd rip your arm off. Every day of this man's life. It's what drove him. I remember one of my first meetings with Terry when he became business manager. He sat Jorge and I down and he said, you know what, I want to get this out there. We just organized all these appliance technicians for Sears. And this is a guy who's business manager of one of the biggest construction locals in Chicago. And he took more pride in these subsectors than he did anything else, which was great. Well, this week, Terry lost his battle with cancer. And Jorge and I were talking about this earlier. It's not that Terry showed us how to live, he showed us how to die. Because he died a strong leader who would do anything for his members, do anything for his union, and always remember that the reason why he was there was not to do politics for the sake of politics. It wasn't to hold an office for the sake of holding an office. It was to fight for the members of his local. That my time with Terry continues to inspire me as the type of leader that I want to be. So I'd just like to take one moment and do a moment of silence for business manager, financial secretary of IBW Local 134, Terry Allen. Thank you. And as I know Terry would say to me, he said, get on with it, bro. So, I'd just like to acknowledge a couple more people that are here that are good friends of the labor movement. Director of the Illinois Finance Authority and Larry Spivak's neighbor, Chris Meister. Also like to acknowledge labor leader and director of the Illinois Department of Labor, Joe Costigan. keynote speaker just over 4 years ago. Jorge said, Bob, we've got our executive board meeting. Rich Trumka is coming in to swear us in. I need you to go pick him up. And this is a guy that's on national TV. My dad's like, hey, Rich Trumka, I see him on Rachel Maddow all the time. And I go to pick Rich Trumka up at the hotel to bring him over to our executive board meeting, and I'm like I am tonight, with one difference that I'll mention in a second. I go there, I'm in a suit, I'm in a tie, and man, Rich got one look at me and he said, you know, you may want to loosen that tie a little bit, kid. Doesn't look like you can breathe. Well, Rich, I just want you to know I loosened the tie. I put the dress shoes in the closet. Most days you guys find me in my cowboy boots because I get a better fighting position with them on. So, you know, you guys have seen Rich's bio in the program, and you've heard Ed Smith talk about all the fights that Rich has had across the country, including the coal mines in southern Illinois. And if you know anything about Rich Trumka, you know about his history as a reformer in the mine workers. But I want to talk to you a little bit about the Rich Trumka I know as an officer of a Central Labor Council that's part of the AFL-CIO. Rich Trumka fights every day for a more diverse labor movement that includes young workers, that includes workers that are fighting for immigration reform, for workers of all walks of life who may not have the ability under the National Labor Relations Act, like public sector workers in Illinois had that same fight before they got their bargaining law. He doesn't care if a worker belongs to a union or can be covered by a union by virtue of a federal statute, but is a worker in reality and would be in a union if he could be, wants to be, and should be. Rich fights for workers. He takes them as they come, and he has the battle in their name every day. And we appreciate that, and we are proud of that here at the CFL, that we're able to call Rich our friend and have him as our leader. You know, three things that I've learned from Rich, and he's another person that I have as an inspiration in my life as a labor leader. I wrote him down, Rich, so I wouldn't forget him. What I've learned from you is know the issues, be smart, and raise them hell. Because that's what a leader is. A leader's not afraid to stand up, challenge authority, and fight for what's right. So I'd like to bring up here a very good friend of the Chicago Federation of Labor. He's a member of United Mine Workers, Local 6290, District 4, President of the AFL-CIO, Richard L. Trumka.